Hi, everybody. Welcome to the
Hey everyone.
Bitcoin podcast. We are here, all things Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. We highlight the best Bitcoin only projects and companies in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and we want quality projects only, and we're going to screen you hard. And tonight's guest is the co-founder and CEO of BTC Prague, Martin Kuchar. Did I say your name correctly, Martin?
And nobody does except Czechs. No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Hi everyone.
It's great to
Great
have you here
Martin.
because
It's a real honor. It's a real good timing as well because BTC Prague is pretty soon.
yes,
Yeah, I realized this like a few days ago that it's not even 3 months. It got me a little bit stressy, to be honest. But and on another hand, it's hard to imagine that like almost a year has actually passed since the last one. So time really flies.
excellent. And we are also a proud partner of BTC Prague, and with our code Bitfluencers, you will get 10% off your tickets. Yeah, I mean, before we start, I would like to share a quick personal story because I was in the closet in terms of Bitcoin for many years, and I came out last spring. And my first Bitcoin conference was BTC Prague last June, and it truly transformed my life. It was an amazing experience. It was, if I would be religious, it would be like going to church and having this Holy Spirit going through you, because the whole energy there was just amazing. And I also met Bitcoin Adam there, co-founder of Bitfluencers. So without BTC Prague, we wouldn't be here talking today. So it's amazing. It's an amazing event, and I truly recommend that to any Bitcoiner who is.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
really
you very
looking
much.
forward to go there because I haven't gone there yet. So seeing me.
Excellent.
Yeah, I believe that we all gonna meet there this year, and beers on me, guys.
That's nice. Yeah, I really like.
No, I'm like
me
Hadler. I'm really flattered, to be honest, and I'm glad to hear that our mission is becoming real. That we are able to change at least someone's life. That's why we basically started with organizing events. So I'm happy that it happens. Thank you.
It's amazing what you guys are doing with Matthias and the whole team there. I'm speechless. I'm grateful also to be kind of also part of the whole BTC Prague family through Bitfluencers and partnering with you guys. But hey, let's start with the questions. All right. So we have many. We have many for you because it's really great to have you here. So basically, what is it about Bitcoin? Is it technology or philosophy that hooked you in the first place?
Yeah, it was money and numbers what took me first, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I already knew that money doesn't serve its purpose of storing value. That definitely this is something what I can't count on with anymore. So I was looking for another solutions, and I was exploring what the stocks are, what actually other ways of storing the values are, like jewelry or gold, etc., or like alcohol. And during 1 week, out of nothing, actually, one friend told me about Bitcoin, and surprisingly, he told about Bitcoin to my wife too. And when we met both together in the evening and we both heard of Bitcoin during one day, we thought like, okay, this might be an answer for our problem of like how we're gonna serve the value for the future. So it was money first, but like very, very quickly, I realized that there's much more. And surprisingly, and it's almost 10 years, it's like eight years now, and I'm still learning. And basically, I only know that I know nothing, which is kind of funny actually after so many years.
Stay humble. Bravo.
Yeah, I mean, I can only share that observation because I'm also almost a decade in Bitcoin and I'm still learning something new every day. So it definitely, the rabbit hole is endless, and we just, gotta stay humble and stack sats, and it will be fine.
Isn't it wonderful, like that? If it's something you like, that there are so many ways of diving deeper and learning and exploring and like expanding your knowledge and understanding the details in more complex way. Like it's really brilliant, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Hey, what about then? Czech Republic has a strong legacy with Treasure, Brains, and General Bytes, for example. And So what is it about this region and Prague that makes it such a hub for Bitcoin innovation?
Good question, and you are not the first one who actually asks, and I was asking myself too, and we were sharing this topic with Matthias many times a few years ago when we started with BTC Prague, and we choose Prague because again, like Trezor, Brains, General Bytes, many other companies actually origin from here. And we thought like, hey, this can't be a coincidence, and I believe that it actually is not, because and there are many reasons, but I believe that the one of the most strongest one and the most influential one basically is that it's because of the communism era. And because of the communism era and the communism itself, which ruins basically everything, and it ruined everything here in Czech Republic, there was basically nothing available on the market, mostly at the end of the days of the communism, like in 80s. And like stores was empty, nothing was available. If it was available, it was usually like OTC stuff, which was available only for friends or the members of the party, etc. Like nothing, like free market didn't exist, if I simplify it. And it didn't make any change because there was no market at all, to be honest. And because of that situation and those struggles, people had to become creative, They realized that if they need and want something, they need to create it by themselves. So that culture of do it yours became pretty strong here in Czech Republic. I remember when I was young, my uncle was actually creating his own ski shoes out of some kind of crazy polymers which were available back in 80s and early 90s, like really crazy actually. And this was pretty standard, in all aspects of our daily lives. And this culture remained present in Czechs and Slovaks. We were Czechoslovakia back then. Actually, till now, And I believe that this is the reason why Slash, for example, invented Slash Pool. It's Brains Pool nowadays, because he knew that mining solo won't probably be efficient enough in upcoming times. And he was thinking like, what can I do about it? There was nothing on the market. So he created by himself. Same then, Stick and Slash, they were thinking of like, hey, like probably storing those private keys for something like Bitcoin is on some software application in our unsecured laptops. I believe they believed that they can do better, and they created hardware wallet because there was none on the market. And those are just few examples of many. Czechs are basically creators. We like to explore and try new things, and we are basically finding solutions for our daily struggles and questions, and we are just trying to help our lives, and we are not afraid of giving it a try by ourselves. Long story short, I would say.
Yeah, I have a question to double click on that, Martin, is that there was not only Czechoslovakia back in the day that was inside the Soviet Union. So I was thinking about that maybe there's something culturally historical that is specific to Czechoslovakia, which is now the Czech Republic, is that if you think about the defenestrations that happened in 1419 and then in 1619, like two centuries afterwards, there is there must be something historic as well that makes Czech Republic peculiar.
Something revolutionary.
Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you actually mentioned this. That was like the second part of the answer. And for anyone curious about the broader answer or the longer story, there is a complete ebook. Maybe we can link it in the chat after. We have complete ebook, like few hundred pages about Czechs fighting for our history and freedom fighting in Czech Republic. And defenestration is again like one example of many, basically, and it still remains valid. Actually, we are a small country sitting in the middle of the Europe, still like undecided if we are part of the Western or the Eastern Bloc, which is a feature, not a bug, I would say, because we are able to get the best from both sides. And I believe that we are like one of the last countries which are still like free, even from our spirit, like in Czech Republic, like Czechs are used to do anything and nobody really cares as long as you at least somehow behave and you don't bother. Like, yeah, let him do. he's a good guy. He don't bother. Let him do what he likes. So checks are really free. We know what freedom means. We fight for it. We fought for it many times. I hope we're gonna stand again for our rights if something happens. But yeah, like if anybody is curious to know more, there is an ebook. I don't want to go into the real details. There were so many examples in our history. Just don't fuck with checks, actually.
This is because freedom in the end, there's one line that I love is like, do no harm, you know, because complete freedom could be thought as chaos. But if you care about your own interest without doing any harm to anyone, this is a perfect balance in the end.
Exactly.
So it sounds like this is the Czech spirit somehow. So that's cool.
Yeah, I would like to say that my freedom ends where somebody else's one starts. Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is kind of a rule of thumb.
Cool. Very cool.
And basically, that's actually the reason why Czechs are again like so strong and so inventionary and happy with Bitcoin. Like the adoption rate here in Czech Republic is like a little bit further than the world standard is.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because of our history, when you try to explain what Bitcoin money is to Czechs, and you start from the perspective of freedom of the money,
Mm-hmm.
usually that's the way how you can get into onto the understanding pretty quickly, because we understand what the freedom of money means here, and it's a reason why Prague has such a strong roots in Bitcoin, and why BTC Prague can actually be successful here in Prague again. It's all just not a coincidence. It's like escalations of many things, which I have like zero involvement, but I'm happy that I can be part of it.
So, guys, people listening to this, if what Martin said generates a wish for you to come to BTC Prague, have a look at this. It's live, so you know. Oops, it's the wrong one. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's the Bitcoin Advisor. It's another partner of ours.
Yeah, there you go.
But
here you go.
You know, anybody who's watching with the code Bitfluencers, 10% off. You should definitely be there. I can only recommend.
Yeah, and if you pay with Bitcoin, there's another 5%.
Even better. Cool. So about BTC Prague again, because I mean that's our key topic today as well. So the conference, it emphasizes real world connections over the digital noise that we basically are everybody encountered with on a daily basis. So what's for one unforgettable moment from past conferences for you that proves that the meet space still beats the metaverse?
Like how this can even be a question, right? I believe that we all are humans and we are born as social ones.
Mm-hmm.
Even the introverts tend to be social, maybe not that often as the extroverts, you know, but from time to time they like to observe even another shoelaces than their own ones. But like for me, the strongest moment, and I'm a little bit biased because, you know, like to explain what I mean, when I'm at BTC Prague, I'm mostly taking care of everything running smoothly. So I'm not in the mood of just chilling and enjoying the conference. But there's a one highlight that I'm gonna remember, and that flashes up every time when anyone asks me about it. That I don't know if it was first or the second day. It's like always like one big fog, to be honest. But I was just sitting next to the Czech stage with local plebs, having fun and talking and sharing what's going on. I had like 5 minutes of a calm time. When I looked around, I saw like hundreds of people just walking around, talking, smiling, enjoying the sunny day, with or without a beer, listening to talks or listening to music, or just lying down in the bean bags and chilling and meeting each other. And I realized that it's actually not a Bitcoin conference, that it's actually a Bitcoin festival. And I changed, and we shared that idea with the whole team pretty quickly, actually, that we are not organizing a Bitcoin conference. We are organizing a Bitcoin festival because, again, we are all humans and we are social ones. And, you know, when time passes and like few weeks or months after the conference, it's usually hard to remember what the talks were about or who you really met there. But what remains is the emotion and the feeling. And we simply want everyone to feel good, to feel energized, to be happy, to learn something, to be able to share it, to have a beer, so we basically turn BTC Prague from the conference into the festival each day, and this year it's gonna be even more present. So when the speeches are over at 6 p.m., we close the stages, but we open more beer points. We put the music a little bit louder outside, and we allow anyone to stay there, to have fun, and to absorb everything and to let it settle in their brains correctly. And maybe a different analogy actually is like, I believe you all guys visited music festival or concert of your famous band, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you can have like LP player, you can have like high quality LP, and you can have like a lot of great music even at your place. But then you go to the concert or a festival where the quality is way lower, but that energy of the crowd and the people and like seeing how they share what you like come on, yeah, like this is so different. And I hope there won't anytime be a way of sharing this kind of energy in metaverse, because this would mean that we are actually dead as a civilization.
Yes. I mean, there is no second best.
There is no second best.
It makes me
Absolutely
want to
not.
run the ad again.
Like wait for what we have prepared for tomorrow, guys. We have something special. There's no second best.
So are we going to see that on the BTC Prague X account?
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be released tomorrow. There is a little spoiler actually already from today's morning share there. So you can maybe get onto some feeling what is it gonna be about, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, again, like how this can be even a question, like if it's like physical event or a metaverse, like
Yeah, that's a great bridge to energy topic. Actually, the whole energy from the Bitcoin festival in Prague. So let's talk about energy and innovation a bit, and the role the Bitcoin plays in solving real world energy challenges. And BTC Prague, of course, often highlights Bitcoin's role in energy innovation. So, in your opinion, what's the like one real world energy problem you think Bitcoin could solve in the next decade?
yeah, the good question actually. Yeah, I have like a short and long answer. Like short one is that I believe that the Bitcoin is finally a tool that can solve many energy problems. It's easy to scale, easy to set up. It can be installed anywhere on the planet. You only need the energy and the internet. And now with Starlink, it's like it's not a problem anymore, actually. So that's the short answer. And the long one, and I'm not an energy expert, but like in general, there is a huge energy overproduction, mostly happening because of the renewables. So usually when the wind really blows or when the sun shines enough, there's way more energy than we actually need at the moment. But there's no way of like having more energy in the grid than is actually needed in the moment. So you need to somehow burn it. Till now, it was just basically turned into the heat, which is the way of burning the energy. But now we actually have a Bitcoin which can be turned on and turned off just by Ethernet cable in the matter of seconds anywhere on the planet. Again, just using an internet, the facility can be scaled up or down pretty quickly. It's just a matter of money, but there's no other technological problem anymore, actually. And you can burn the same amount of the energy, create the same amount of heat, but there is a Bitcoin created in between, which means that you are basically transferring that overproduction into something that has a value and can be sent by internet to any other place on the planet where it can be used for anything that has a value. And this wasn't actually possible before Bitcoin. And it wasn't really possible even in Bitcoin till now, because, like the mining is developing in crazy tempo, and those ASIC chips are being built on the best possible silicon technology. I don't know, it's a few nanometers only. It's like the most efficient chip on the planet, actually.
Yeah,
And
we're down to 2 nanometers, I think now, something like
like,
that.
yeah, come on, 2 nanometers. It's impossible. And
Yeah, it's crazy if you think about it, is that the energy is always sourced by definition locally, but then it is expressed globally. And this is beautiful.
exactly. It's beautiful, and it's so easy to do so, and it really can help a lot of problems. And then we have gas flaring or methane reuse. I had a call with Bob Burnett from Barefoot Mining yesterday, and he told me about this project, how they are using cows and what they produce in huge amounts, actually, just because they have to eat. And they can get a lot of methane out of it to run and get like mining infrastructure powered, just because they produce beef, which we all love and all like and love, and they can even create a Bitcoin while taking care of that same amount of cows. Like, it's really changing everything we know and we understand from energy perspective rapidly, but nobody really realizes. So this is something that will change the future a lot and drastically. And then we actually have even like a heat reuse. So we even have a ways of reusing that waste heat, actually. So you can have a machine connected into your plug at home. You can set it up that it only starts when the energy is free on the market, because there's overproduction. So you can mine Bitcoin and you can heat your house for free. Isn't this wonderful, actually? So
Yes, we had Bob Burnett as our guest a couple of weeks ago on our podcast. So I will urge everybody to have a look at it, because he's a really a deep thinker about either the block template issue, and of course everything that is energy related.
Yeah, it's a great episode to anybody who wants to learn about Bitcoin mining and the future
exactly.
of Bitcoin mining. Yeah, Bob is dropping amazing insights there.
Yeah, and also I would like to mention Tyler Stevens, who is doing a series on the theme that heat is not a problem, it's a product, and so please look it up too.
Yeah, Bob is brilliant. I definitely recommend everyone to follow on what he does with Barefoot Mining or with Ocean Pool mostly, because they are really protecting Bitcoin from scam and from a nonsense that simply doesn't belong on first layer.
Exactly. Bob says that we have miners and hashers, and the miners take care about the block template, and hashers just in the end are looking at almost like fiat minded. They're looking for money, but what's inside the block is fundamental. I mean, the freedom of its content. I mean, okay, you got me.
Yeah, that's really well said. I gonna use this too. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of misunderstanding about Bitcoin mining and the whole energy topic and the environmental, FUD and bullshit, basically, what is being told, especially in the mainstream media. And the reliance on fossil fuels and stuff like that. I mean, it's mostly getting produced with renewables anyways. And these days, like, I think that's the percentage, I don't know by heart, but I think the majority of Bitcoin is already mined with renewables, and
the trend is going up.
The trend is going up. I mean, because we have to find sources of energy that are also profitable in the end, because
absolutely,
it's getting more
it's
and more
a game theory.
What's really crazy is that Bitcoin is full of paradoxes, and I'm writing a book which is called Bitcoin Paradox. I forgot what I wanted to say. It's okay.
Yeah, take your time.
I just
Take
forgot
your
what I
time.
wanted to
Yeah,
say.
I mean it's a paradox, that you forget what you want to say about your own book. But I'm really looking forward to that book because I know Stefan and he's a great Bitcoin philosopher and he has great memes, great truth bombs about Bitcoin insights. So I'm really looking forward to read the book.
The
Actually,
one I
Stefan.
wanted to say was marvelous, but I forgot it. So you have to.
Yeah, it will be in the book, so we will have to read it. That's
We will never.
yeah, that's a nice way to market the book as well. To drop a teaser like that.
Exactly.
So let's go to Bitcoin's evolution from the whole energy side of things. So from self custody in constrained block space world to the relationship with Wall Street now, kind of open source versus private. So now Bitcoin is being adopted more and more by Wall Street and big institutions. We have strategy there, BlackRock with their ETFs. I mean, there are like 11 ETFs already. You name it, basically. So are you worried about Bitcoin drifting from its cypherpunk roots into just another asset for rich people?
Yeah, just very briefly onto that onto the boiling oceans fat. Just very briefly, the Bitcoin mining consumes the same amount of energy in a year that US consumes for Christmas lights, just in one Christmas season. Maybe we shall ban Christmas lights because they are killing our planet, right? It's samely stupid narrative. Yeah, the samely
Yeah,
stupid
but people
narrative.
could argue that Christmas is useful, but Bitcoin is just.
I mean, the whole fiat system, how much does it consume energy compared to Bitcoin?
Yeah.
It's just like a fraction. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
And the whole military.
Yeah, and the number of renewables used for mining, I believe that we are getting to the 60%, or maybe it's even more. So it's like, it's wonderful. But yeah, let's get back to your question. I'm sorry, but I had to
Just
rise this up.
Martin, please. I remember my paradox, and you'll tell me about it.
Yeah, please.
Is that although Bitcoin is using more and more renewables, the network will become negative thanks to a fossil, which is methane.
Yeah, yeah. And just by the way, like burning the methane is way more ecological than leaving it unflared, actually, because the methane is creating that how is it greenhouse effect way faster than carbon dioxide. Yeah, so let's just be creative and let's support Bitcoin mining because that's what's gonna save us. It's definitely not opposite, but maybe I believe that we simply need to stay patient. We shall answer anybody facing us with that narrative. We shall explain. We shall tell them what the real numbers and real applications or implications are. Because at the end of the day, we're gonna get there. People gonna realize, but it's a little bit too soon to expect that everybody will understand such a new technology as Bitcoin is. We are in the phase that internet was in the 90s, and look where we are now.
Yeah, but in fact, what's really fascinating about Bitcoin, and this is why I ask people to look into it, is so what it is, why it exists, why it solves, and why it becomes more and more inevitable as time passes by. And it helps, by contrast, to understand the current system, like what is money, what is energy. Like, did you know how an electric grid functioned before you knew Bitcoin? I didn't.
No.
The importance, of offer and demand and stuff like that. You were mentioning that you have to burn the energy that you don't consume and so on. So even
Same with
if
money.
you don't adopt Bitcoin,
no idea about money before Bitcoin.
You will understand the scam that the current system is. So the answer to the scam is by default the parallel system, which is Bitcoin.
This is brilliant. I've learned so much of our world and our daily lives just thanks to becoming a Bitcoiner. Yeah, like it's really funny.
Yeah, it's really it's the best life you can imagine because it's so fun. Look at you. I'm here and I'm so grateful to meet you guys, and we're just memeing the world into abundance. It's amazing.
Yeah, And speaking
Yeah.
of memes, one of those memes where you have this huge pile of books and the stuff you learned at college or whatever university you did, waste of time basically. But I did the MBA back then, and with Bitcoin I have learned like 21 times more, and I learned during the whole MBA. I learned nothing about money
Yeah.
during those studies.
Yeah, you're gonna learn
The whole system, yeah,
69 times more in Prague.
yeah, exactly. So it's the whole system, basically the education system is also a scam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a coincidence. Yeah. There are no
Yeah.
coincidences. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're getting philosophical here.
I mean, that's the point, right?
That's the point. Yeah, that's the point. And it's funny that when I try to explain or tell this observation to somebody else, they think that I become a little bit crazy. Like, whoa, look at that weirdo there. He's a Bitcoiner. Wow.
Same.
I'm weirdo and I'm happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun staying poor.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly one of those moments when you stop thinking about or caring about what the others think
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
That's also
You know
very
that
liberating. And that
there's
comes
one
to
story.
Bitcoin as well.
Sorry, Swiss. There's one story I like to share is like, how did you realize that Bitcoin changes you? Apart from the vision of the life. And I have a very concrete example is when I go on LinkedIn, I used to go on LinkedIn where I used to work. Sorry, it's my birds. I used to be like anybody else, politically correct. Ah, yes, wonderful, wonderful. And you don't really add value to anything with new ideas, whatever. And when I came back to LinkedIn as a Bitcoiner, I realized that my behavior had completely changed. I wasn't necessarily being aggressive, maybe with someone, but or disrespectful. I just said things as they are. And I realized really that Bitcoin changes you, that you just don't give a shit about what your client, your supplier thinks, your boss sees on your posts. It's just yourself because you are uncensorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's the way.
So I'm crazy. I'm happy to be.
Yeah, we both kicked out of LinkedIn, by the way, Stefan and myself. We don't have
Really?
Yeah, same
any
week.
access anymore. Yeah, we got blacklisted for posting
Swiss,
about Bitcoin.
David, and I. So 3 Bitfluencers were with no apparent reason
Within a week.
kicked out of LinkedIn. Maybe it was okay. It was during the same week, and it could be a coincidence, but it happened to be like 10 days after Microsoft shareholders decided 99.5% to say no to a Bitcoin strategy.
Oh yeah.
And Microsoft is the owner of LinkedIn, as you know.
Yeah, we have been noticed, which
The
is
bots
great.
were trained.
But we are here and we can be funny. We can have fun. It's funny that Microsoft actually voted against going into mobile phone business already back then when Nokia was becoming popular.
Mhm.
Seems like that this is a good barometer of like what not to do.
Yeah.
Just don't follow
Wow.
Microsoft.
And 99.5 was amazing because I really didn't expect the shareholders to say yes. But 99.5 is peak normie land, but big time. So no comment on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty shocking actually to see that result. But
They're gonna regret sooner or later.
they're gonna regret, and they will get
Germany
they
style.
deserve. Luckily, we are.
Yeah,
here
as
and,
Michael
earning.
Saylor said, like we all buy or get Bitcoin at the price we deserve, and
Yeah.
this is the greatest example of many actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he's also very right when he says that it's need based. So Microsoft does not need, it's full of cash, full of everything. So they just don't understand this yet, and it's fine because we prefer plebs to stack, right?
Absolutely, we need every pleb to become stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about then?
We skipped the topic a little bit actually.
Yeah, I mean, do you still want to answer to that? I mean, is big Bitcoin becoming only just money for the rich people, or
Yeah.
still keeping the same roots we had? What do you think? With the whole corporate adoption, institutional adoption.
I got the question. I believe that it simply doesn't go against each other. Like when we look at the adoption rate, I believe that what's the worldwide adoption number? It's like 3.5% of the population, maybe not even. We are too early, and we know that there is a point of crossing the chasm on the bell curve, basically where the hockey stick really starts kicking in, and it's at 13.5% of the adoption rate. We are still super early. We are in the early adopters phase, basically the innovators, and this will just escalate the things. And I believe that we shall simply get used to the fact that the new people with new intentions, new use cases, new motivations, and new ways of using Bitcoin simply gonna appear in the space sooner or later, and that Wall Street guys and bankers and ETFs and institutions, that's just a part of it, you know. Like if Bitcoin doesn't handle this, it's probably not what we were hoping for, you know. We just cannot keep them out of the game. That would mean that we lost, actually, if we're gonna need to censor it. So will it change Bitcoin? I believe like in the ways, yes. But if you are a real cypherpunk, you understand what the self-custody is, what the hardware wallet is, how to protect your seed phrase, as I believe all of us do. Like this doesn't affect you at all, right? You are still free to do whatever you like. It actually will only make like explaining what Bitcoin is a little bit easier even to the normies, because we're gonna have the answers of like, hey, this is used for money laundering and it's only meant for buying weapons on the darknet. I don't really think so. If this would be the case, will BlackRock jump in? I don't think so. And I even believe that it made Bitcoin way stronger, actually. It's weird to say, but can you imagine that, for example, the US government will try to ban Bitcoin now? BlackRock will stand up with rice fingers and tell them, hey, guys, have you thought this really through properly? I believe that not a single of us can imagine how much money they spend on lobbying, on moving the things in direction they like and need. And it basically made Bitcoin stronger. And we can or do not need to like it, but it's simply the fact. But again, it's part of it. We, I believe, shall get used to it. It even gonna probably get weirder if we're gonna get like from 3.5% adoption to 14% adoption. And maybe we can even use internet as analogy again, right? Like internet was super weird thing back in 90s, you know, using dial-up. I remember my grandfather who was asking me like, hey, what are you doing there, Martin? Like, why don't you go and read a book? And I'm just chatting with my friends here. No way. How you mean? Like chatting with your friends? Yeah, here's Swiss Hodler. He's in I don't know where you are now. Sorry, like he's in Guatemala, for example. And I write here, I press enter, and he gets it. No way. And we are at that phase of adoption. Yeah. So
True.
And look where we are. We are doing this podcast on the riverside, on the internet, and look how it works. Yeah. So
exactly. And to your point, so Bitcoin is permissionless. So as I said before, but I'd like to repeat it because I think it sticks as well, is that if you want hyper Bitcoinization, you have to accept hyper capitulation all across the board to Bitcoin, including nation states, BlackRock, and so forth.
I mean, in the end, Bitcoin is for everyone.
Their controller.
And
that's a good analogy.
Yeah. Now, speaking of BlackRock, also, I mean, we are the Bitcoin marketing team, but I guess BlackRock has been doing even a greater job in terms of marketing.
Absolutely.
Than we could do with our limited resources. So thanks to Larry. Thanks to Larry for pushing.
Thank you.
The orange revolution forward. Also, it's only paper Bitcoin, but still, you know, it's Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can be happy that it's Bitcoin and not any other shitcoin. So
yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, even the US Treasury story is ending well, because you will say, what? Solana, Cardano, but in the end, they were just put in a separate bucket that can be sold for Bitcoin,
Yeah.
by the way.
Basically.
Budget neutral, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like thinking of like, do even Bitcoiners on nation state level need to get through that shitcoin phase to
Yeah.
to become a Bitcoiner? I was like,
Yeah, meme coins, shit coins, trading, leverage, and whatever.
seems like yes, it's interesting.
Seems to be the case.
Seems to
It's
be the
hilarious.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even
Nation
in
states,
Czech Republic, there's
nation
also
states and plebs, and we're all Satoshi.
yeah, in Czech Republic, the central bank has also been showing some interest, right?
Yeah, that surprised me a lot, to be honest, because till our governors, national bank governors announcement, actually, national bank was simply ignoring Bitcoin, not supporting, not fighting, just ignoring. And like then, out of nothing, he tweeted that they are like considering having Bitcoin as a reserve currency, and actually buying for 7.5 billion. It was actually a lot. It was like 5% of the whole reserve, which was a lot actually. Of course, it was just a tweet. He got roasted, like terribly roasted, from good and the bad perspective too. And he met with our most famous Bitcoin propagator and YouTuber here in Czech Republic. So they met, they discussed. So I believe he understands the obstacles. He's a smart guy. And they basically created a commission on our national bank level, which only purpose and goal for upcoming half a year is to explore what the possibilities, what the consequences, what the intentions, and basically what it means to have Bitcoin as a reserve currency. And it's a complex topic, even like how to buy it for some price, and it's really complex. So they are working on it. It's gonna take more than half a year, and we're gonna see if it happens then or not. It's tricky because like on one hand we are free sovereign country, on another hand we are part of the European Union, which raised the finger immediately. So I'm pretty curious how this is gonna escalate. But again, like it made me kind of proud because it happened in Czech Republic and in Prague again. Yeah, like we were talking about
Exactly.
Bitcoin.
It's incredible. In fact, I didn't like very much the comment of Christine Lagarde, who, because she made a comment like with a little smirk, making people understand that she had a talk with him. So maybe she's part of the people who roasted him, even though correct me if I'm wrong, but Czech Republic is part of the European Union, but not of the European of the
Central bank.
Eurozone.
Yeah.
You don't have the euro, so
no, we don't.
should even shut up at a certain point.
Yeah, easy to say, I would say. I don't know
I think
what
that
are all the strings.
this commission is still, I mean, the outcome that leads to that commission examining for 6 months, I think it's still incredibly bullish news that they just didn't put in the bin. Because meanwhile, you have, things are developing in the US and they are going to start feeling the pressure. The US and elsewhere.
Yeah, like I even had that feeling like, isn't it just a populism, at some level? Like, of course, he saw what happened in US, that Donald Trump got like huge popularity just thanks to implementing Bitcoin into his communication. It's part of his PR. I believe the governor of our national bank understands this well. He's a smart guy. I'm not a big fan of politics at all, but he definitely is a smart guy and he understands. But like from what I know and what I learned, he is a guy who understands the Bitcoin, understands the ethos, understands the potential. But he, of course, needs to follow the regulatory framework and our legislation. So I'm glad that there is at least something happening, and we will see again.
But in the end, if you think about it, Trump he figured out that he could just fish 30 million single issue voters with one word.
Exactly.
crypto or Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Whereas central bankers are unelected officials. So unless you have a huge ego and you need popularity just out of the blue, he doesn't have any political gain to do that. So I think it's extremely surprising and
Maybe
it
he's
was,
running for president.
yeah, maybe he has political views in the future.
But we don't care about politics. We just vote for orange, and that's it.
Exactly. Sorry, one second.
That's how it goes.
Well said.
Yeah, about the future, I think I would have one more question at least.
Okay.
2025 and beyond. So, what's one Bitcoin trend, or tech, or adoption, culture, whatever, that you think you are very excited about currently or in the coming years?
Yeah, like there's actually more than one, but I'll try to make it simple and short. So mining, we talked about this a lot, so this was covered. Like expect like huge development on this side, and it's going in crazy tempo. That's first. I'm pretty curious how the block space gonna be managed. And again, like Bob Burnett, he's already working on like Bitcoin block futures market. Like for example, let's say that you definitely gonna need a block space in size of XYZ for average rate of 10 satoshis per byte at the end of September. There are ways of doing like out of band with pools. You can agree with a pool with some part of a hash rate, but let's say that you have an ocean pool. You know that you represent 1.5 for the global hash rate, so you know that you're gonna mine, let's say, a block a day. So there is a high probability that you can sell a block space at some specified period of time for some price, and it becomes a future contract which can be traded then.
Yeah.
This is pretty exciting. So let's say that the block space gets to the price of 40 satoshis per byte, but you have a contract which holds you a space there at 10 satoshis per byte only. So why don't you sell it for 20? Because it will still be cheaper for the owner than 40 satoshis per byte. So this will create a completely new business model on top of Bitcoin. I'm pretty curious how this is gonna escalate, mostly out of curiosity, and because I was thinking about like, why doesn't anyone do this already? So Bob does, which is great. And
Still early.
I'm pretty curious how this gonna happen. So I would say that this is the technology I'm really curious about. Like if I should pick something from like special box, I would say. But like in general, I'm pretty curious how Bitcoin gonna develop. And it's early. We probably gonna need 1 or 2 more cycles before we get to that point of crossing the chasm on the bell curve. But if like that many new people will come into Bitcoin, the block space will become so scarce that we definitely would need to onboard them probably onto Lightning. And
Yes.
does Lightning scale enough? There are so many questions. We don't have answers now, so I'm really excited, and I'm happy that I can be part of this like a crazy Wild West period of Bitcoin.
I mean, it all just confirms how early we are, and there will be business models, there will be business cases that we have no clue about in the future. So it's going to be super interesting space to be in.
Yeah, Bitcoin
Again,
is the
same like with
internet of
internet,
money.
right?
Yeah.
It's the internet of money.
Internet of money, exactly. So yeah, so that's it. Like, what's yours, guys? Actually,
Well, just to expand on this a little bit, I think it's interesting that for a nation state, owning Bitcoin is not sufficient. You have to have mining capacities in order to control at least a block from time to time.
yeah, that's a good point, actually.
I think I would go with the Lightning actually, because I want to see that layer 2 developing enough that we be able to scale and like you said, onboard people on the second layer rather than having those masses coming into the
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about layer 2 scalability, because in the end, the trilemma, you have the security and the decentralization on L1, and L2 fixes
Mm.
the scalability. And like until last year, there were some concerns about Lightning, but now it looks like it should be workable.
Yeah, yeah. I think the scalability definitely is not the problem, but how it's going to evolve even going further. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
What kind
Yeah,
of cases
even
it's
even
gonna,
from the UX perspective, right?
exactly
Like,
what kind of
Oh,
business
yeah.
models will be built around it. So it's going to be very interesting.
I think federations will have a good shot.
yeah, might be. I'm yeah, like super
But I don't
curious.
know. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll see. Popcorn.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like if you really want Bitcoin become like internet money or money in general,
Mhm.
like there's a lot that needs to happen. I think like it needs to become as simple as like paying with card. And I don't know, maybe my expectations and positivism is a bit too high, but there's definitely need to happen something. But because, for example, I can't imagine masses just confirming and checking the on-chain address on the Trezor wallet and clicking the button and checking in on a screen and trying to understand the fee environment. Like we need more layers or more friendly solutions for the masses. But still, it's great that the ways for us, for the cypherpunks and then the hardcore users will remain valid. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that if you think about, you can make an analogy as well concerning smartphones. That in the 90s, I would be very scared all the time that someone would steal, for example, my smartphone because it was one out of 1,000 people, whatever. But now that everybody has one, if you are in the restaurant and you put your smartphone here, you don't even think about it because it's ubiquitous. I mean, they are all over the place. So I think that the normalization of people owning sats will remove part of the the scare that someone physical attacks and so forth. Then of course, if people, I mean, current public whales need to be careful. Of course, I don't want to be too oblivious. But hyper-Bitcoinization will be a beautiful world, I think, including UX, because if you think about it now, I'm not going to go into specifics, but I have like 10 examples in my mind of easy payments, such as cards and the ring and I mean, maybe we will be able to do like they do in China in the fully controlled and dystopian fashion, but maybe with your iris, this will connect it to your wallet or whatever, and just look at something to pay you. I don't know.
Yeah, that's little Black Mirror-ish.
A bit exaggerated, but I mean, as Swiss says, we can't fathom, we can't really imagine yet the solution that will come.
Absolutely.
But,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you, Martin, I think that like we know that we are so many, there's such brain power now and economic power behind Bitcoin to defend it. We are thinking ahead of time of any issue that could come. Of course, nobody knows what nobody knows, but we're thinking ahead of time to prepare an easier world for everybody else. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah,
Hard to
excellent,
add something smart on this. Yeah, thank you.
excellent. Let's once before we finish, let's just play quickly the video. I have it here, right? So from BTC Prague, wanted to show you that. So everybody who is planning to go to BTC Prague, use code Bitfluencers for 10% off your tickets, and we're gonna see you there in beautiful Prague in June.
Time really flies. It's getting sooner than I would like, actually. But no, I'm super excited. I would love to see that orange energy becoming physical again in Prague. I cannot
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah,
Cannot wait.
yeah,
I still have to buy my ticket. I will use Bitfluencers code.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't wait. It's gonna be very cool. I'm gonna be the whole week there actually in June, and really looking forward.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. And thank you for taking this up to plan the whole week, as there's a lot of shaping up. There's DevHack Day, like super geeky, super techy side event happening just day before the conference. Like the last year's feedback from the visitors was that it's actually funny that we organize BTC Prague as a funny side event for DevHack Day itself. So people really loved it. So if you are into technology and Bitcoin development and open source, that's must visit event. There are a lot of differently focused site events happening during the whole BTC Prague week. We are getting our site event landing page ready, so it's gonna be live soon. So people can plan even better. And we are in touch with BTC Pay servers, so they're probably gonna happen BTC Pay Day. So as many Bitcoiners probably know, for example, from Riga, sometime during the BTC Prague week. So, and of course, like June is the best month to visit Prague itself. And it's really smart to stay for a few more days to see all that medieval buildings, have a good steak, have a good beer, and just hang out there and absorb what we all gonna learn at BTC Prague itself.
Excellent. Cool. I'm really looking forward to it.
I could share with, because now I was thinking that we've had 1 hour of fantastic chat and we talk really too little about BTC Prague. So I guess that people can go onto BTC Prague X handle to have all the information, the website, and so forth. But what are like 2 or 3 top things that you would like people to know? What's going to be different this year? Stuff like that. I mean, your shot.
Yeah, like there's so much actually. Like in general, BTC Prague remains the same. So the mission of it's still same. We empower every individual to come and learn about Bitcoin. If that individual is already in Bitcoin, he or she can easily level up at BTC Prague. So if you are just a hodler, you can become a node runner. If you are a node runner, you can become an employee of Bitcoin. You can find yourself a job in Bitcoin easily at BTC Prague. If you are a normie, you can become a Bitcoiner or a pleb at there, because we empower that bottom-up approach in Bitcoin as much as we can, so that remains the same. And we want everybody have fun. And like, what's better than coming to Prague, the wonderful city, in June, and meeting like same-minded and same-likely like oriented people than at the conference. It's so enjoyable, so empowering, and gives you like the right energy to stay focused, to stack more, to stay humble. And that's actually what makes me happy, and that's what worked so well during past 2 years. So we definitely want to change this, but there's a lot we're gonna change. There's gonna be more beer, like joking but not joking. There are gonna be more people. We are getting to 100 Bitcoin only companies having their booth in the expo section.
Wow.
So it's like massive expo, which is there for the visitors. So if you are curious about Bitcoin development from the product or service perspective, that's the place to go, because you can meet the founders and creators and ask like serious or even silly questions, and they are happy to meet you and get them answered. And it's gonna be a lot of fun again.
So
like
people, I would urge you, if you want to go to Prague and to drink a lot of beer and to not lose your Bitcoin, this is what the Bitfluencers recommend to you, which is the Bitcoin Advisor. So the standard multi-sig is 2 of 3, where the user uses 2 keys. So if something happens to you, the Bitcoin is in danger. In the Bitcoin Advisor's case, which has been existing since 2016, you have 1 key. You create in the vault 1 extra key that will be held by the Bitcoin Advisor, and the third one will be held by Theia, and you are in control through your 2FA. So you just basically cannot lose your coins. And if something happens to you, we have a very straightforward and robust and simple estate plan protocol that will allow your family, that says, Martin, please stop talking to me about Bitcoin all the time. But if something happens to you, and I'm touching wood, your family will suddenly be very interested into your Bitcoin, and they will be able to get control of the coins seamlessly.
Yeah, I'm a happy client.
Yeah,
Good
he's
job,
my
guys.
I can confirm.
Good
Yeah.
job.
He onboarded me.
yeah, because I work with Peter Dunworth at the Bitcoin Advisor. So there you go. So we like to collaborate with many in many ways with
But hey,
Yeah, that's definitely important to think of, like the heritage and the future generations. Shit happens, and it's good to think of it and be protected before it really happens, because
yeah,
like
because
facing the consequences can become like surprisingly tough and maybe even impossible.
exactly, as long as like 20 years, maybe you don't think too much about what happens after you. Maybe you don't have a family yet or whatever. But when you get into your 50s, 60s, 70s, that maybe your stack is becoming increasingly and dangerously huge in terms of purchasing power, then you automatically start thinking about this kind of multi-sig collaborative security arrangement.
yeah,
Exactly.
By the way, just to conclude on that, multi-sig can be like feel like complicated, but in our case, it's literally easier thanks to Theia technology to create the vault like in 10 minutes. It's easier than setting up a single SIG hardware wallet, and maybe Swiss can confirm.
yes, I can confirm. It's super easy, and you know the best thing about it, you're not the single point of failure anymore, which allows you to sleep better at night.
Yeah, you can literally forget about it, because if you think about it, when you know you're the only person in your family who is an expert about self custody and so forth, you cannot afford to forget everything, because you know where the key, where the 12 words are and so forth. You will never really get 100% peace of mind. And in our case, you just forget about it and it's okay. Then of course you never forget completely about it, because you
No, of course
live
not.
Bitcoin 24 hours anyway.
But that's super important too. Like we all need to sleep, and that sleep shall be good. So if we can, or you can do anything to improve the level of it, this might be a good way where to start from, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect.
It was great to have you here with us, Martin, today. Bitfluencers Bitcoin podcast. It was a true honor to have you here. Thanks
Yeah.
a lot. It was
Thank you very much.
amazing discussion. And anybody watching, don't forget to share, subscribe our YouTube channel as well, Bitfluencers, and see you in the next episode. Then, and
Follow the
we'll see you in Prague
Bitfluencers,
as well.
follow Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Honor is all mine. It was a real pleasure. I enjoyed the talk. And yeah, let's meet in Prague. I cannot wait, guys. Thank you very much again.
Here together. Let's
Yeah,
go.
all
See you
together.
I'll
All
pay
right.
tax. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye, guys. Thank you.
Please stay.